love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for frame rate is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Frame Rate is brought to you by Shutterstock.com. With over 1 million high-quality video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 25% off your new account, go to Shutterstock.com and use offer code FRAMERATE9. Frame Rate, if anyone doesn't know, is the show that thinks you ought to be able to watch what you want, when you want, where you want, and we aim to give you the info to help do that.
The rap is like this extraordinarily nuanced argument saying like, you may be ashamed of your actions in the future. What you do has consequences. Think about what you're doing, and please don't copy that in whatever format that you choose.
Intellectual property violations are very nuanced and complex, so you might want to consider all of the effects of your actions and fair use implications under the 4 facts as found at fairuse.stanford.edu before you copy.
And follows up with this like, why don't you try creating new material? Then you'll understand how hard it is to make a living as a content creator when other people are ripping you off.
So, like, unless you want to release your material in some kind of Creative Commons license, and there's many options that you can choose from.
Very nuanced and complex.
Copyright is complicated. So don't copy that floppy.
Just don't do anything. Don't leave the house.
Yes.
Just too dangerous. Our first big story is about how piracy is helping Netflix.
This would be the time where Tom Merritt would come in and he'd say, this is frame rate, but he's not going to do it because right now, what's Tom Merritt? He's frozen.
You know what? That's perfect. Let's just leave Robot Tom exactly how he is for the rest of the show, and then I'll get to express all of my opinions. Finally, I've usurped Robo Tom and destroyed him. Howdy, beautiful people. I'm Brian Brushwood, flying solo on Frame Rate for just a moment. Very good cover on that, Jason. Nicely done. I'm sure you're getting Tom back on the line.
Oh, yeah. I've got little beads of sweat collecting on my forehead right about now. So.
Well, that opening video was a mashup of us discussing the Don't Copy That from last week.
Wait, am I late?
No, you're right on time. I was just explaining to the nice people, Tom, that that was put together by Gatawag in the chat room. Brant Hughes, very talented, making us a meta rap about copying content, and he killed it. It was freaking awesome. Well done, Brant.
Yes, nicely done, Brant. I hope that will teach everyone about copyright law. I kind of already said in that little rap there about Frame Rate being the place to learn about what you want to watch, when you want to watch, where you want, and whatever device you choose. So let's just go to the big story then.
This just in, the big story.
This is one of those stories that at first glance you may not think it's a big deal or going to affect your life all that much, but it's going to have knock-on effects that will affect your life. Nielsen has announced that next year, September 2014, they will start doing digital mobile device ratings. Only for live TV, right? So you may think, well, what's the big deal there? So if I'm watching some YouTube video, it's not going to count. But if you're using Aereo on your mobile device, if you're using Slingbox to watch your TV shows, if you're using the ABC.com app, for instance, which has some live TV on it now, that will count. Any live TV you watch on mobile and on phones, tablets, anything, will count in the Nielsen ratings after that. And the reason that's going to affect your life is that right now, it's a different strategy for a network that's broadcasting a show to a mobile device than it is for a show that's broadcasting to your regular television. Nielsen solved this for set-top boxes. They already include those ratings. We talked about that on Frame Rate a while ago. Now this will say, you know what, you don't have to think about it separately. That will all those views, Aereo included, so one of the objections to Aereo goes away actually here, will now count in the ratings for Nielsen starting September 2014.
You know, and I was thinking about how you were watching the local Austin news on your, was it the Roku? You were doing the live, the Ustream?
Right.
Like, will they be able to count that kind of thing as well?
that is already counted. That was something Nielsen added when they started addressing the set-top box issue. So if you have a Roku hooked up or an Apple TV hooked up right now.
No, but I mean like on your mobile device if you're using Ustream or going to that channel.
Right. No, okay, good point. If I'm watching the mobile version of that, not the Roku app, I get what you're saying. Yes, all of a sudden now that counts, whereas right now it doesn't. And as I mentioned, one of the big gun arguments against Aereo from broadcasters is, hey, they don't get counted in the ratings. Now they do.
Right. Well, and keep in mind, and you nailed it. It's one of those. This is one of those headlines that immediately gets us excited, and then you read the fine print, and then you find out that yet again it's a baby step in the right direction. And that's if it's spoiler alert, that's a recurring theme here on Frame Rate. Is you get really excited about the idea of something, and you're like, well, it's not quite where you want it to be, but at least it's a step in the right direction. So again, Nielsen apparently not fast to rush into anything all willy-nilly, but at least they are. You could tell they're taking a long-term view in that direction. And again, it's like part of me is like, well, why not count the way we watch stuff on Netflix or Hulu or whatever? And the answer is the short answer, at least for Netflix, is why should Nielsen ever count Netflix for anything? Because the only reason Nielsen gives numbers is to sell ads so that people can know how many people are going to see their message. And if you got a service like Nielsen or with Netflix, then kind of what's the point of it?
Right. It makes sense for Hulu. Hulu's showing you current shows and selling advertising. And what would be a great thing for Hulu to be able to do is say, no matter where someone watches a show on Hulu, it counts in your ratings. Right now, that is only going to be true if you're watching a show live and Hulu doesn't show you stuff live. So this doesn't help them at all. But maybe eventually Nielsen will come along and say, okay, like we do for DVRs, we're going to add airing plus 3 days, airing plus 7 days, airing plus 30-day ratings that will include on-demand sources like Hulu and the ABC.com apps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, Netflix is never going to care about this because Netflix, like, we want your $8 to show you things. And we don't really care what those things are, except in so much as it informs us what things to buy and add to the service down the road.
And it's weird, too, because we're kind of seeing two different models quietly competing. Because on the one hand, the reason Nielsen ratings are so important is because they're able to sell advertisements tied to a specific program as well as a demographic. Nielsen, the ratings tell you what everybody's watching, how popular the show is, what kind of people are watching so you can target it. But also they make possible ad buys for specific shows. Whereas on the flip side, you have the way YouTube is trying to push everything, which is, no, don't buy shows. We don't want to let you buy shows. We don't want to give I don't want to say we don't want to give the power to the shows, but they say you can buy a demographic and, because YouTube's push is to get the ad out to all of a certain subcategory. So I wonder, I mean, is this or am I wrong to even think about these as competing worldviews or things that they're pushing, or like what's the difference?
I do think they are different worldviews, but maybe not as much as it sounds. For instance, I know from my experience at Tech TV that when a network sells on the Nielsen ratings, they're selling a demo. They aren't selling the show all that often. They're usually saying, hey, you want to reach 18 to 34-year-old males with a $70,000 or more income? Here's a package for you. But it does play in. And we were always able to sell these shows that agencies liked, like Silicon Spin or Titans of Tech, the bio program, when we couldn't sell shows with higher ratings because they were like, I just don't think that's really our audience or the message we want to be attached to. So it does play a part. YouTube is fighting that, saying, oh, we're just going to sell you people. You want the people? We'll deliver the people. Don't look too closely. But I know that it fudges that way on YouTube sometimes as well. And I don't know this as directly, but I've heard tell that sometimes people are like, yeah, but this is going to get me on Daily Grace, right? Because I really want to see my ad on Daily. There's always going to be those pressures.
There's a prestige to it. There's that halo effect of like, everyone loves that Breaking Bad. I want to be associated with meth. So please get me on that
Everybody
show.
wants to be associated with meth. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't?
It's the in drug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, and the other part of this variety story that I thought was curious is ESPN has not been waiting around. They've created their own version of the ratings system. And recall, Nielsen's kind of the only game in town these days. They're buying Arbitron. And Arbitron was focused on radio, but still, now Nielsen is like, hey, we're de facto monopoly in this space. ESPN's got a thing where they're using 14,000 mobile devices from ComScore's tracking of plus a million PCs from ComScore, plus 70,000 portable people meters from Arbitron, which we'll see if Nielsen lets them keep doing this, actually, once Nielsen finishes buying Arbitron. And they create a much richer picture of what's going on with their content. They're going to be showing that off shortly.
Well, that'll be interesting. We'll continue to see where things go. But, you say that Nielsen's the only game in town, and I guess they are for the major advertisers. But meanwhile, and I keep thinking about the YouTube competing thing, where it's like you get a breakdown of demographic of who your viewers are.
When I say Nielsen's the only game in town, I'm talking about television. Broadcast television, cable television. You're right. It becomes a whole separate. Google is the big game in town when it comes to buying ads online, right?
Yeah.
So those are two titans starting to head on a collision course there.
Of Google, I believe we have another big story.
Stop everything. It's another big story.
I think this is an important linchpin along the road to YouTube becoming a place where people of all types will watch video content. And that is, starting in November, the mobile apps from YouTube will allow you to watch shows offline. So in other words, you won't have to be connected. You can be in an airplane, you can be in a subway, and you can actually just have your saved shows for up to 48 hours, apparently, and watch them offline.
Here's why I was surprised that this wasn't the big story, because essentially this grants so much power to branded regular content on YouTube. It essentially opens up the exact same format that podcasters have enjoyed for a decade now to the YouTube content creators. Because the problem with YouTube, take for example, Scam School started off as only a podcast, but then became available on YouTube. The bulk of the viewers for Scam School only watch it on YouTube, which means almost exclusively they're not watching it on a TiVo. They're not watching it on their, maybe some of them watch it on their phone, but most of them are watching it on a computer. This essentially now looks to me like they're bringing in an eye catcher-like functionality to YouTube. So now let's say I'm subscribed to Epic Rap Battles of History or whatever, and I'm on a plane and I don't know what I want to watch, so I open up and again, there's all the content that's branded that I enjoy. I think this is a really big step, less for viewers at home, but more for the content providers who have those regular channels.
And I think there's still a limit here, right? It's 48 hours. YouTube hasn't officially acknowledged this. They sent a letter to partners, which is leaked out, and they said it's going to be 48 hours. And then every time someone connects to the internet, that 48 hours resets. So you can potentially keep something in your offline queue for a long time. But the point is not to let you do that. The point is to actually have you say, oh, I'm going to be in a situation without internet, so I want to be able to watch this. I'm going to be going into the subway and not have to think about it. Just have the stuff that you like, the stuff you're subscribed to, your playlists available all the time. But not to work like podcasting where you might store up a bunch and then get to them later. And that's, to me, I'm a big fan of shows like The Instance, like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, that I will not get around to watching to within 48 hours of the moment they post quite often, or listening to. I will wait until I have the time. If every time you reconnect, your lease of, for 48 hours renews on them. And again, there's so much we don't know about this. I am projecting what I hope it'll be when I say an eye catcher like experience. But I don't know. I think you could kind of have all those built up. My guess is that you'll be able to decide how much storage space you want to use, and probably decide what quality of video you want to be able to store on your device, and which programs you'd like to automatically have cached or hold on to. And there's probably going to be options where you can watch it and then it has it automatically scrub it and delete it. Or you could watch it and say, you want to keep this, or are you done with it? The big thing they want to avoid is having this be an iTunes-like experience where you buy a thing and then you have it forever. They want very much to hold on to the fact that, no, you are watching our content. We're letting your leash go a little bit longer into the offline world. Just, as long as you check back every 48 hours, we're able to, continue to get these numbers on how long you're watching and how much you're paying attention to. Well, the big thing is advertising, right? Advertising campaigns change frequently. So 48 hours later, they have a whole new advertising campaign they want to feed to you. That old ad that got fed to you is no longer acceptable. They don't want to count that anymore. So that's why they put the limit in there. And I understand why they do that. If this works seamlessly and people are connected to the internet often enough that it might, then I think this could be a huge, huge win for YouTube in convenience, in that all of a sudden now these shows that I like on YouTube, but maybe I don't watch them often enough, because I don't think they're like, they're not stored. And then I might have to go, Dr. T was talking, he's like, well, I just download them on my PC and then I sync them over my mobile device. I'm like, that's too much trouble. I don't want to do that. Now I won't have to. And so maybe that's a good thing. We'll see how it works. Let's take a break and thank our sponsor for today's show, Brian. You know, I've got a new book out. I don't know if I told you that a million times already, because I probably did.
Wait, you wrote that book? I just thought you were reading that book. It sounded like an amazing title.
Oh, yeah. No, I wrote it. It's self-published. You know, it's not that big of a deal. But the key is, Brian, I need to make a book trailer. And I don't have a lot of time and money to go shooting a bunch of stuff. I need some stock footage. Where could I find some stock footage?
At the old footage stockyard. They're $10,000 per clip, and I don't recommend them. But you know what you could do? So you could use our sponsor over at Shutterstock. Shutterstock has affordable stock imagery, and it's not just photos. You say photos, but look at this. You got video. I understand they add 10,000 new pieces of media every single week. And look at this. You could have like spaceships, and you could have wormholes. Where's this set? Is it set in space?
Yeah, it's set in space.
Okay, well, good. Are there some asteroids in space?
Yes, asteroids, mining. I can mine. I could show the mining things.
Oh, you know what? I'll bet you could see what happens when you type in space mining on there. I'll bet you could.
Well, they have a pretty crazy search engine at Shutterstock. You can search by mood and color temperature. Look at that. There's space mining.
I bet you could put like old space miner, and it would probably have an old man in space mining. That's how specific they are, man.
That's insane. And the best part is I can use this stuff legally, right?
Yeah, well, forever. Like you have I believe an unlimited license. You could put it on your book, and even if it turns out to be a super bestseller of all time, they're like, it don't matter. You already paid your flat fee. They ain't gonna come back and say, give us more money.
We make sure the other people get their stuff. You can download them in HD. You can save them into light boxes. You know, really, folks. In all seriousness, you can try Shutterstock today by signing up for a free account. So go do that. No credit card needed. Just start an account. Begin using Shutterstock. Help imagine what your next project could be like mine. Save your video selections into the clip box, right? So that you can look at them. You don't have to buy them yet. Just save them into the clip box. Get them all arranged and then say, okay, those are the ones I need for my book trailer. Once I've got it narrowed down, or once you decide to purchase, use offer code FRAMERATE9 and new accounts will receive 25% off any package. That's any package. Shutterstock.com for 25% off new accounts. Use the offer code FRAMERATE9. And we thank Shutterstock for their continuing support of FrameRate. They've been pretty nice to us, Brian.
Yeah, I think that they like us. I think they might like us. I mean, they send me. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but they passed me a note in chemistry that says, "Do you like us? Check yes or no." I haven't checked one yet. Should
I checked yes, and then I said, meet me in the slipstream after school. Netflix won an Emmy. Actually, they won 3 enemies. Enemies?
They got plenty. Oh, trust me, don't worry.
Too.
They got plenty of enemies.
But they won an Emmy for Chapter 1. That's Best Directing in a Drama Series for David Fincher.
That's great. Wait, so did they win 3 Emmys or 1 Emmy?
They won 1 Emmy for that, and then they won 2 Creative Arts Emmys. Those are the ones that they don't give out during the live broadcast. Outstanding casting and outstanding cinematography.
Is this a disappointment or a big victory? Because I think that the enthusiasm for House of Cards was a lot higher. I had expected it to win more enemies. I said enemies.
You said enemies,
just like you. I had expected more. I was kind of disappointed to hear they only won one. I mean, first of all, congratulations. I mean, great work, and that's top notch. But I didn't watch the Emmys, but I saw everybody grousing about who didn't win. And I guess I had hoped they would win more.
You know what they say? The Emmy of my enemy is hard to say.
They do say that, but they actually write it because it's so hard to say.
Well, of course, Netflix is getting all kinds of Emmys. This is a big deal because it's the first time an internet television show has won an Emmy. And everybody wants in on it. Microsoft says, oh, yeah, we've got hundreds of people sending us stuff. Microsoft Studios Vice President Phil Spencer revealed in an interview with Bloomberg that Xbox has, quote, literally hundreds of ideas for shows that they're incubating at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. It doesn't give us any specifics to sink our teeth into, but it definitely shows that there's a lot of interest. I'm telling you, man, the days of caring about what's on broadcast, what's on cable, what's on every new media format lacks legitimacy until suddenly it doesn't. And the fact that, think about this, wasn't The Sopranos like the first cable television show that to win an Emmy like 15 years ago? That's how recently everything turned around.
You may be right about that. Yeah, it definitely was a groundbreaker. I don't know if it was the first, but it seems like it must have been.
Just decide it's true. Who cares? It's not like we're journalists and our integrity's at stake. But the important thing is that you wouldn't think that the Xbox Live Network is a legit television network, but you'll think that until you suddenly realize it is.
Yeah, and the Microsoft story is less about, well, what are they coming up? They call them Nancy projects because, of course, the person in charge is named Nancy of developing these. She's the former CBS executive, Nancy Tellem, but they shouldn't have admitted that.
That sounds like an insult. These Nancy projects.
But everybody's doing this now. Everybody wants to do this of the offline people. We're going to see a flood of these things. We're going to see some really bad stuff, and then people are going to go, "Oh, look at that! The internet comes up with just as bad stuff as Honey Boo Boo," because they will. But the flip side is you will also get to get more House of Cards level stuff.
Well, and this is the thing. Like right now in the chat, Slappy just said they shouldn't put presented by Netflix in the opening credits. It makes it look cheesy. The only reason that you think it looked cheesy is because, again, you don't think it's legitimate until Netflix comes to mean content like House of Cards. And all of a sudden it's like, people are fighting. They're like, well, can we put presented by Netflix? Because then, that'd be awesome. That'd be huge.
Yeah, and HBO used to be the same way. People are like, oh, it's made by HBO. Now you got movies like Liberace that HBO made, giving the made-for-TV movie a good name. Like it cleaned up at the Emmys, and it was made for TV. And it had freaking Matt Damon in it, and Michael Douglas, yeah. Real quickly, too, Amazon Instant Video for iOS now supports AirPlay, so that becomes another way folks who have an iPad or an iPhone can send their videos that they buy and rent on Amazon to the television through the Apple TV.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really all there is to say about that.
Because we're talking about Apple TV, it's the perfect segue to the tube tops. Brian, this is really somewhat of a gaming story because Valve, the makers of Steam, announced that they're going to come up with an operating system, and actually in a couple days they may introduce some hardware for living room gaming. But what intrigued me about this story is that they also said, oh yeah, we're also going to do, music, movies, and TV shows, although they didn't name any names. So we don't know if Netflix is involved or what.
Well, they've been flirting with this idea for a very long time. I think we talked about the fact that they launched big picture mode for Steam, last year. These, again, little baby steps, sort of setting up the infrastructure. But the launch of their own OS that specifically is built, to live in the living room. These guys are smart. They know that they see that people don't just use their Xboxes to play video games. They don't just use their PlayStations to play video games. They're streaming media. They're listening to music. They're watching YouTube videos, and then they also look at what people do with their computers. And they are. It looks like they're in the process of doing like a 3-day set of announcements about their whole ecosystem, because the website that where this was announced on the official here you go. If you go to store.steampower.com/living room, you'll notice that that they've got what looks like 3 big announcements here. Yeah, I could go ahead and throw this on here. There we go. You can see the Steam universe is expanding in 2014, and so they've made their first announcement. Now there's another countdown timer for whatever their next announcement is, leading to everything up. But they're being very coy about everything, and I don't know how finished all of this is or how theoretical it is, but I am way excited to see it because they do good work over at Valve. And Steam, there's a reason that Steam is the #1 gaming platform, bigger than any other console out there.
Yeah, and the operating system is apparently for real, and it probably will come soon. In fact, they say it's going to, you know, and it's going to come this year, but what form it is, what it looks like, all that we're kind of waiting on. The only thing I will say to Valve, and this is purely on a personal note, is scheduling your announcements to go live at 10 a.m. the exact same time as my show Tech News Today starts is really inconvenient for me. So can you change that? Thanks. Okay.
You could actually make that your opening segment. You're like, and today's announcement is, here's a picture of it. Quick,
top
opinions,
story.
Go.
Let's read it together. Apple TV updated to software version 6 over the weekend. I went and downloaded it right away and got the new iTunes radio and the ability to AirPlay direct from the cloud. Really didn't seem to be that much different. The iTunes radio thing's kind of nifty. It gives the Apple a chance to allow you to buy tracks directly from the music store. That's kind of interesting. All in all, didn't think it was that much of a big deal, but I did use my Apple TV to watch some baseball in the MLB app, watch some Netflix. Lo and behold, I find out the next day, Apple has pulled the update as it is bricking several Apple TVs.
So where is it at now? Have they fixed it, or it's just like the
Apple TV 6.0 update was taken down Saturday night and reverted to 5.3. They have not announced when it will be put back. I guess they're trying to figure out how to stop the bricking. If you've been bricked, if you're out there saying, Tom, this is not funny, my Apple TV is bricked, you apparently can restore Apple TV OS 5.3 by plugging your Apple TV into your computer and using iTunes to update the operating system, and that will restore functionality. But meanwhile, I'm just living on good luck, I guess, because mine still works. I'm afraid to turn it off now.
You're crazy, man. Yeah. You're just running around. It's like I can't think of a single analogy that wasn't going to involve like unprotected sex. So let's just move on.
Well, save those for this next story about Sony's Smart Stick dongle. Yeah. So
the Sony Smart Stick is to challenge Google's dongle, Chromecast. What are the benefits to the Smart Stick, Tom?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's $150 versus $35 for the Chromecast, and otherwise it's kind of the same thing. Although I think you have to have an MHL socket, so it's similar to the Roku dongle in that way, that your HDMI port has to be MHL capable. And if you're like, I don't know what those acronyms mean, Tom, then you probably don't want to use this unless you just recently bought a TV. Then it might be worth looking up. MHL gives you some control over the device from the socket. Otherwise, it seems to work pretty similar to Chromecast. I'm not seeing the big advantage to the Sony device. It's able to bundle with the remote, and you can send things someday from a Sony phone to it.
Yeah, see, that's so. This is such a Sony way to do it. It's like to do a thing, you're like, well, it'll let you do other things later when the ecosystem is developed. You know, it's I don't know.
It does have more functionality than a Chromecast, so I guess it really is more like a Roku stick. And then it has kind of a Google TV stuff. It has Netflix, has Amazon Instant Video, YouTube, the Chrome web browser. So it's much more functional than the Chromecast. Kind of relies on your computer for a lot of its functionality, and that's why it's cheaper.
All right. Which I believe isn't this the same one that we had seen leaked in like patent applications or something? We saw some photo like don't lift your television by the stick.
Yeah, I think this might be the same one. It seems like it anyway. Yeah. It seems to fit the description. Yeah. Let's move on to Film Found, shall we? You know, those of you who've watched the show for a long time understand that Brian especially, and myself now included, have a little bit of an obsession with the Dark Tower.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's face it. There are people who are a little bit more obsessed with the Dark Tower than we are.
Sure.
Namely, Roland of Gilead.
Exactly.
Yes. But in this case, you know, we followed the story. At one point, we heard that that is definitely confirmed. There's going to be 3 movies directed by Ron Howard. Then it was there's going to be 3 movies and 2 television shows that take place in between certain movies and so on. We've heard that it was going to be on ABC. We've heard that it was going to be on HBO. And then we just didn't hear anything about it at all. And, especially to me, this is a property that is so epic. And it's as precious to me as Game of Thrones is. And, seeing how well Game of Thrones is being treated by HBO has me believing that for the first time we could see a Stephen King property, translate to the big screen or the small screen in a way that would actually make me happy. But in this case, the story here is that Ron Howard has confirmed that they are still working on the Dark Tower. They've just all taken, as he put it, a vow of silence on it. They're going to stay extremely quiet about this, which is probably a smart thing because it keeps people like me and Tom from, making a bunch of noise and complaining about what might be because we just don't know anything. Yeah, okay, I'll speed it up. Go.
I'm just doing the Roland thing. That's all. You're really not taking that one. No, I think it's interesting what he said here. According to his interview with Empire, the Dark Tower is something we're still working on. We've all taken a vow of silence about the progress, the headway, what we think our timetable is, because I don't think I realized how much media interest there was in the title and how much excitement there was. Yeah. That's positive, right?
Well, it's very positive. And again, cautiously optimistic. I'll hope that it's going to work out. I guess we should keep a vow of silence on this too. Move on to the next story.
Thanks for giving us hope, Ron Howard. Damon Lindelof is one of the guys behind a new show coming for HBO called The Leftovers, which is about the rapture, which sounds hilarious, but it's actually based on a 2011 Tom Perrotta novel, which is called The Leftovers. The world discovers that, yes, the rapture has taken place, but it wasn't exactly the one Christians had been anticipating because some of the wrong people got taken and some of the right people got left behind. And it all kind of deals with the aftermath of that. Christopher Eccleston is in this, Justin Theroux, Liv Tyler. So it's got a nice name cast. It's got Damon Lindelof on board. If there's one criticism of Damon Lindelof, he's too spiritual. This is the perfect vehicle for him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's a great observation, Tom. I'm excited about it. And Damon Lindelof, a bunch of people are burnt out. You're like, he screws up everything, burr to burr. But it's like, I'll still keep coming back. Like, I believe there's a good enough, his track record, it's like, what is it? If you can bat 300, you're awesome. And, he's batting 300. So it's like, I'll keep coming back.
And the pilot was directed by Peter Berg of Friday Night Lights fame. I'm a fan of Friday Night Lights myself. So, yeah, I think this is good stuff. I'm excited.
I agree.
Let's move on to the scan line.
Right now on Frame Rate. Right now on Frame Rate.
It's going to be so dated in a year, but right now, it's freaking awesome. Yes. So Hulu's acting CEO is talking at the IAB conference saying we're absolutely seeing pitches on not everything, but most things. People know us and they know the things we've gone after, even if they think it might be more money than we're willing to spend. They know. He's basically saying the same thing as Microsoft, like, oh, yeah, we're rolling in scripts now. Everybody wants a piece of the Hulu.
It's weird because these stories just reek of a slight lack of confidence. The fact that you need to tell everyone how many scripts you're getting. And we are in the adolescent phase of new media now, I think it's fair to say, because we have to have these trappings. We have to give ourselves awards. We have to make announcements like this. They're like, no, we're legit. We're totally legit. And, we're in that fake it till you make it phase, I think.
And Andy Forsell, who's that acting CEO, says our question for originals was, how can we differentiate and give people reasons to come? So they're trying to narrow the definition of reasons.
So in this story, and I think you snuck it in last minute. I may need you to guide me through it. The headline reads, Netflix doesn't want Twitter to spoil Breaking Bad for you. Like, is there something that they're doing to Twitter or some way?
They have created an app. So if you go to this website, you will be able to log in with your Twitter ID, and they will block any Twitter posts that have trigger words that they feel are the kinds of things that are spoiling Breaking Bad.
And this was made by Netflix proper?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It's just a promotional vehicle.
Well, and especially I wonder also how vague they could be. Because sometimes, at certain points, like I guess you'll just see it like OMG, 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 but it's like those vague almost spoilers are like, well, now I know something happens or I might intuit. I wonder how effective it's going to be is what I'm getting at.
Sometimes it overreaches, apparently, but spoilerfoiler.com, if you'd like to check it out.
Very clever.
Cox Cable has ended its internet TV trial in Southern California called Flare Watch. This was a cloud DVR service and 90 channels delivered over the internet in Orange County, California for $40 a month. They have given people some credit for being part of the test. One customer who was part of the trial said he loved the service, especially the cloud DVR. Flare Watch customers will get a refund for any purchased hardware and for Flare Watch's monthly fees. I don't know. The test is over now. I guess we have to wait and find out if the test was successful.
I mean, it is kind of a weird thing. You'd think if the test was successful, they just keep doing it. But of course, it's one thing to determine, okay, we've got a thing and consumers like it. Here's what we did right. Here's what we did wrong. And then it's another thing to have to decide the marketing, the promotions, the pricing, all of the specifics that make it a viable product for Cox to offer. If I'm going to predict, I'm going to say it'll come back because Google Fiber is going to be leading the charge on this kind of thing, and they're going to have to compete. Dish wins again. I'm a huge fan of Dish, and even though I don't have it at all, but I love their antics. The federal judge in New York refuses to ban Hopper. Hopper, of course, is the service that automatically carves out the commercial breaks, essentially editing your feed. And I'm impressed and surprised that they're standing up to the legal challenges on it.
Yeah, this is, again, not the end of the court cases. None of these court cases ever seem to really come to an end unless they go to the Supreme Court. But it's the third favorable federal court decision in favor of Dish regarding the Hopper. So they also refused Dish's request to prevent CBS from seeking to get out of its retransmission agreement with the satellite TV company. But overall, Dish is winning. They're winning like crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Look, we have
courts are
12 seconds to spare.
They're preserving your right to record what you want, when you want, and watch it when you want it. Darn it. That's a victory for the citizens of Frame Rate Land. Yes. First time I had to stretch on Scam.
Good work. It's good. Good
Machinima,
job.
One of the biggest networks on YouTube, has laid off 10% of its staff, and that could be considered a good thing. Why? They say they're doing it in connection with their growth plan. They plan to invest more heavily in original content and to build up revenue sources outside of Google's website. So it seems to be them saying, you know what, we've decided to get serious about this, and we're not just going to be a YouTube channel. We're going to be, as others like Maker Studios have indicated, we're going to be a big network. And to do that, we need different kinds of people, and we need to put our money in different places.
I think they could do that. Could you see a future? And again, it's going to seem antiquated to even think this way. Can you see a future where Maker has a cable channel and Machinima has a cable channel? Or is that entire frame of thinking just idiotic and antiquated?
Well, I know what you mean. Like, are there going to be cable channels in the future? If there were, exactly. Yes, I could. But I don't know that there will be. I think the whole landscape will be entirely different. But they'll have the equivalent of that. Maybe put it that way.
I just wanted to enjoy 3 seconds of silence in the middle of scan lines. Hey, Tom, you excited for the big Pixar movie in 2014?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Pixar pretty much has a movie every year. And this one, what's this one about? The Good Dinosaur? Oh, yeah. This is the 2014 picture. I'm so excited for the 2014 Pixar movie. Woo!
Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that excitement. I want you to bottle it up, send it in a time machine to the dinosaurs where it'll be pooped on by a triceratops. Because there will be no Pixar movie in 2014. Sorry, bro. Production issues.
Read between the lines, Pixar, because that sucks. Yeah, in fact, all they're saying is they're not saying what the production issues are, but they are saying November 2015. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, it says for the first time since 2005, they'll go more than a year with no movie. I wonder if that pushes back all of the other Pixar releases as well.
Pushes back Finding Dory. Finding Dory gets pushed back to 2016 now. That's the sequel to Finding Nemo, in case you didn't know. So, yeah. They are messing with Dory and Nemo now.
Poor Dory. That's the end of Scam Lines here.
And that is the end of Scam Lines. Thank you very much. Let's talk about what's premiering this week.
Premiering this week! This is what's premiering this week! Check it out!
You know what, Brian? I was going to be real excited about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. premiering tomorrow.
You were going to be excited, but now you're...
Till Joss Whedon messed with my time schedule and made it 1 minute longer than 60 minutes. And that causes a conflict on my DVR now.
What's it? Oh, it's up against New Girl? Oh, come on, man.
For 1 minute. 1 minute. If it weren't for the 1 minute, it'd be totally fine.
You're bigger than Eileen. You can wrestle her over this. This is come on, man. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't know about that.
You're gonna be watching it live anyway, aren't you?
You know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. won. The New Girl lost in this situation, but I am very excited, in all seriousness, for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just don't understand why it's 1 hour and 1 minute on the DVR.
Well, I mean, they do that specifically to screw with your DVR. I mean, they've been doing that for a decade.
I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should be above that, but oh well. Do we have any good movies coming out this week? I've got a red
nope.
Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Oh, wait, is that this week?
Yeah, that's this week.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is one of the most underrated, funniest movies in the world. I loved it. I've watched it like a half dozen times, and in fact, I think I'm going to go out and buy it right now just so I can watch it again with the kids to get ready to watch Cloudy 2.
Very cool. Let's talk about what we're watching. What we're watching. Breaking Bad, obviously, will be discussed in the spoiler zone immediately following your local airing of Frame Rate. But you've been watching Archer.
Yeah, they finally added that. What season did they just do? It was season 3, right? Because I know they added another season to Netflix, so I'm plowing through them.
Yes, they added the season that was just on earlier this year is now on Netflix, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. There's a great moment. There was a great moment when I'm watching, and all of a sudden Michael Rooker showed up in one of the episodes as a guest star, and Rooker's been on so many episodes of NSFW that it's like he's a very good friend of the show, and it was just really weird to suddenly hear that very familiar voice injected in Archer, and I was just like, "What? Awesome!" Loving
Brian.
Archer.
Hey, Brian, you dropped a name right there behind you.
Did I?
You might want to get
Michael Rooker. I'd pick it up, but then Michael Rooker would kick my ass.
That's
Michael
right.
Rooker. Yes. Oh, speaking of Archer, I found out that Archer Live. Oh, is the most recent one?
Yeah.
I think I'm watching season 3. I'll have to check. I found out that Archer Live is coming to Austin on November 8th, and I found out that a friend of mine is the tour manager for Archer Live. So I'm gonna get to see Archer Live in Austin. I'm so excited about it.
Archer Live is coming to LA the same time as BlizzCon.
Well, so which are you gonna go to?
Didn't coordinate their schedules because I already paid for my tickets to BlizzCon.
Oh no.
And all Veronica and Scott, Nicole, all my friends are coming into town. All the whole AIE guild's coming into town. Like that's just bad planning. What else you
blow them all off, bro? And I finished off the second season of Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is genuinely funny. The butt loose episode was hilarious, and if you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't know if that's still on the air because again, I don't watch anything live. I hope it is though, because I want more.
Have you seen the episode of Archer with the Bob's Burgers bit yet? That's the beginning of season 4.
Oh, that's amazing! All right, that'll be awesome. Yeah. Good.
I have been watching
What are you watching?
The New Black, finally.
Yes! How are you liking it?
It was it's really good. And there was I didn't put it off watching it because I didn't think it was going to be really good. It was just one of those timing things where Eileen and I wanted to watch it at the same time, and neither one of us cheated, and so we finally found the time to watch it. I think we gobbled up 5 episodes in a row, almost in a row, but over the course of 2 days. It just gets better and better as it goes along. And the funny isn't laugh out loud funny. The funny is slow burn funny, and it's good slow burn funny. What a great cast, too.
It also, I'm so interested to hear you talk about the characters. The characters are very much alive, and to see them evolve, and you really get a sense of the complications in intrapersonal relationships that you get in that messed up situation. What else are you watching?
I'm watching a ton of stuff because I had an extra day off. I took a day off to celebrate our anniversary Friday. That's when we watched Orange is the New Black, actually. I've been catching up on Always Sunny. I'm up to 2010, finally.
Yeah!
I think I air episodes that were new when you started haranguing me that I needed to watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay, so I'm hoping you've caught the bug fully right now. And it's so funny to see how the show gets really cranked up once Frank joins the cast. It's really
Frank's been around for 3 or 4 seasons now. It's a kind of amazing how many seasons of this thing they've got. You know what? I drove past Patty's Pub the other day because it's the only exterior shot that they shoot in LA. All the other exteriors are done in Philadelphia, but they shoot the exterior of Patty's Pub here, and it's downtown in this little warehouse district.
That is amazing. Did you go there on purpose, or you're like, hey, whoa, that's Patty's?
No, I was like, I wasn't sure I'd driven past it because I drove past it and it's brown and it doesn't say Patty's, and I'm like, that building looks exactly like the Patty's Pub building, but those doors are the wrong color, and so I went and looked it up, and sure enough, that was it. And finally,
I don't watch. Yeah, I don't watch Dexter, but I guess they had their series finale last night, and it looked like most of Twitter was really not happy with it.
Yeah,
did you watch that?
Not to end a show is Dexter, because that is a beloved show, and it was done very well. Showrunner for the first 4 seasons has not been on it. That might explain part of the disconnect here. Without getting too spoilery, especially for people like yourself who haven't watched it, what I felt like they did, I mean, overall, I would have taken it in an entirely different direction, which is what I expected, and they didn't, and I'm kind of disappointed in that. But there is a point in the final episode where I would have stopped it, and it would have worked for me. It wouldn't have been what I expected or what I wanted, but it would have worked for me, and they kept going. And once they kept going, I was like, okay, this is now none of this makes sense to me.
Right. Well, right on, man. We'll talk about
Haven. I want to mention, still amazing. It's only the 2nd episode of the season, but go watch it.
Right on.
Do it. Shall we get some feedback in?
Now it's time
for
feedback with Brian and Tom on Frame Rate. Oh, yeah.
La primero. Wait, no. Anyway, first email comes from Alan, who says, while AirPlay is theoretically unrestricted, there are drawbacks. For example, Vudu doesn't stream HD versions of some video to iOS devices because some studios fear how AirPlay competes with other HD services and possibly allows piracy over Wi-Fi. So the unrestricted nature of AirPlay ruins the video streaming experience even when AirPlay isn't being used. Because Chromecast has DRM built in, studios may not fear it the same way. Well, the iPad has DRM built in, so it's not about whether there's DRM built in or not. It's just studios being stupid is what that is.
No, what a fig leaf DRM is. Like when it's and it's like it's interesting to see it, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it really seems like people are becoming less and less concerned about their DRM actually doing anything and just having the appearance of like some kind of DRM out there. Am I making that up, do you think?
No, I think it's probably true. And I think there's another element of depending on who the boss is in that particular division changes how DRM works, because it's not scientific. It's not like there's an accepted practice. Oh, this works. You can tell that they don't know that it works because they apply it so differently across the spectrum. It's total religious behavior. It's like whatever that person seems to believe. Oh, I believe Wi-Fi can be pirated, so no HD over Wi-Fi and AirPlay. There's no evidence that that's happening. They don't care though. It's just okay, boss. No HD over the Wi-Fi. Whatever. And it's not a big enough market to force their hand, I guess.
We got 2 emails from 2 different Kyles. We will call this one Kyle the First sends us an important missive to FR. That's us.
Kyle
that's
the First.
That's us. Fraser Kane needs to be a regular co-host of Frame Rate. Such an awesome episode. That is all. And I will
let me tell you,
back that up 100%.
I 100% back that up myself.
Awesome.
And if you go back and listen to that rap remix from the beginning of the show, I believe Fraser Kane is definitely the most hardcore rapper of the 3 of us. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, it's like when you're that hardcore into astronomy, it's like I believe he's actually engaged in drive-by shootings.
Yeah, drive-by shooting stars. Kyle the Second, all hail Kyle the Second, says, I think you've skipped over a huge part of the viewing. He all capsed it, so I had to say it that way. Huge part of the viewing experience that can be opened by these next-gen consoles. The Xbox One and the PS4 are all running on PC-spec hardware. No more Cell or PowerPC processors, which took whole teams to write code for. These devs will be writing code for 8-core x86 AMD processors with AMD graphics cards, which is what you will get in a normal gaming computer. It's a huge step forward for a unified experience. Okay, you ready for the possibilities here? Possibility number one. Imagine running XBMC on a console as an app. It will have the Blu-ray drive built in, access to your whole media library, all the online content you could want, Netflix, Hulu, and Zune Store movie rentals. Plus,
right, wait, real quick. Wait, hold on. Put that on pause.
Okay.
I need an irony check. It is ironic that he's saying, imagine running XBMC when XBMC Xbox was developed on the Xbox.
Well,
is that irony?
You could jailbreak the Xbox One, presumably, and run XBMC. He's saying, imagine them making an app. Because, for instance, on the Ouya, you can download an XBMC app and turn the Ouya.
Okay,
He's
good
just
point.
saying, but somebody could do that for Xbox and make a much more powerful Xbox box, because the Xbox One has better hardware than the Ouya. Okay. And then he goes into talking about Netflix and Hulu and Zune Store movie rentals, plus the cable TV pass-through. Also include the app system already in place that the Xbox has or PlayStation Network, and you have what TiVo, Google TV, Apple TV, Roku, and every other wannabe all-in-one solution has tried and failed to do. Okay. I don't know that that's true because the apps haven't been made, and I don't know that there are any significant apps that aren't available on the other platforms that are on the Xbox, but maybe there will be. He says, then you can take all of that using your Xbox Live account and transfer it to your laptop or desktop since it's all compatible code. Xbox runs a version of Windows 8 for its backbone. No matter where you are, you can get your games, music, movies, and content by logging in. Think of Steam, but for everything, not just games.
I do believe that that's where we're headed, and that's the final vision of everything. I don't know. I guess
I can log in on my Android phone and get my Xbox Live?
I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, you've got an Xbox app on the iOS that I can
do it on iOS. Can I do it on OS 10 and access my movies?
Maybe that's the possibility. That's what he's selling. I don't know. Are you buying?
I'm not buying because I'm not sure all that stuff's possible. I think Microsoft really wants to keep you in the Windows world.
This is the real conflict. Is he's talking about it from a hardware perspective. This is what's easy to do and possible because you have a unified architecture. It's easier to program. You could do all of these things, and who knows? Maybe you'll see all of it happen. By third-party pirates or whatever. But the problem with the media in general, it's the existing licensing agreements, it's the windowing, it's the people wanting to keep you in their own walled gardens and build their own brands. So it's that's what's going to stop this.
The other thing is it's expensive. And what he's saying all makes sense if you really value video games as an important part of your daily meal, and a lot of people do. And so this is going to make sense for them to say like, oh, okay, yeah. But for somebody who doesn't care about video games, they don't need all of this hardware to run high-definition video. They can run perfectly good high-definition video off a smaller processor that's cheaper, and that's why the Rokus and the Apple TVs and all those exist, because they realize, I can sell a $60 item or a $35 item and still provide great video. And then the thing about apps, Microsoft doesn't have the robust ecosystem for apps. Apple does. They're not using it on Apple TV yet, but they have it, and Google does, and they are using it on Google TV. Just not a lot of people are picking up Google TV. So they all are missing pieces. I'm not sure that Xbox is all of the things, but very thought-provoking email from Kyle. So good stuff, man.
I also liked this quick note sent to us from Stephen in the UK. He says, Chromecast is like a remote for your TV. AirPlay is like your set-top box. I thought that was an interesting comparison. I don't know that I 100% see it that way. I mean, I guess it is because like you've got the full hardware in your hand. It's just instead of a set-top box, it's in your hand is all. But yeah, I can see that. He goes on to say, keep up the show. You guys have saved me over 80 pounds a month.
Wow.
So he's losing a lot of weight, apparently. My cable is fly cut, and we have no live TV whatsoever. We use Roku, Xbox, PS3 tables, and PCs, US phones. I don't know if that's us phones or a mistype or whatever. I always plan on dropping Sky TV once fiber arrived. It did Christmas 2012, and the family and I don't miss anything. It's a good job we have unlimited data. As so far this month, we are at 450.29 gigabytes over our 80/20 connection. Congratulations.
No kidding. Good job.
He says he's been watching the show since episode 1. Thank you, Stephen.
Oh, thanks, Stephen B. It's like all analogies. It breaks down if you look too closely at it, because obviously Chromecast isn't like a remote in that it can't switch back to other things, other inputs, etc. But I like this analogy a lot, because Chromecast is sort of like, hey, take the things from the internet and control them and watch them on the TV. Right. Whereas AirPlay is like, we have the things for you to watch. Here, select from them. So I kind of see where he's going with that. Yeah. Well, my friends, that brings us to the end of another frame rate journey. I hope we've helped you learn a little more about how to take control of the stories you like to view and cut those cords if you are so inclined.
Yeah. Or if you're not, like, we're going to physically force you to cut your cords. We're going to show up in the middle of the night with a knife and just start slashing all your cords. Hey, man, don't forget that if you want to chime in, write us at fr@twit.tv or framerate@twit.tv. Or framerateshow@gmail.com. They all go to me, and I answer them usually on Mondays. I try to send out as many replies as I can, and we love your feedback, especially. You guys have gotten good at keeping those bite-sized, so we don't have to take a huge, long email that's too long for us to read. Thanks.
Look for the Chicken Challenge on Google Plus and find us live at live.twit.tv on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, or any day of the year at twit.tv/FR. We'll see you later.
I love you.
Write us.
All right. I did my homework, so I don't have I don't have to step away for spoilers.
Oh my gosh, you're not running away.
And listen. So,
wonderful. Well, before we do the spoiler zone, why don't you set the mood? You got some music for us?
Because the end is near.
Oh right.
Now.
I think
I
might have a little bit of music.
Little game we like to call Treading Water.
What I had to do, and saw it through without.
Is there video? There we go.
I land each RV cook, each careful step from the recipe, and much more than this. I did it my way. Yes, there were times.
All right.
These people!
A little teared up there, Brian. So far.
It's all coming to an end. The journey is finishing.
The end is near, and he did it his way.
Except he totally didn't. You got pushed around and bullied, and everything's going to crap. Man.
So what did you hate about this episode, Brian?
I think the only thing that really annoyed me was the ending. I don't know. I feel like first of all, it's the show's great. I'm not trashing the show. I like the show. It's really good.
Why do you hate Breaking Bad now, Brian? Why do you think it's the worst thing on television, Brian?
It's so big, it's cartoony, and it's gotten cartoonier, and stuff happens so much faster. It in the beginning it was believable, very believable at times, and now almost nothing is believable, and that's fine. It is fantasy. It is soap opera at this point, and I love the characters.
Particularly not believable.
Like for example, he makes a phone call. We're starting to see more fake outs over and over and over again. And, even, I did. It was awesome at the very end. I actually was thinking, I was like, man, how did we get here? Like, what? I really liked that original story about him getting screwed over by the guys at Gray Matter. And I really wish, man, something would happen with that. And then, kind of out of nowhere, because they haven't really touched on that story for the whole past 2 seasons. Then he sees the Charlie Rose interview and then freaks out, and now he's like the stage was specifically set for, we know he's going to go on some kind of rampage, but we don't know against who or what. And I have decided that I know. I'm going to make my prediction. I'm locking in my prediction on how everything ends. It ends exactly like Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. His family gets killed, and he just becomes a hardcore criminal. Like he's dead inside and goes back to it. Because that's the one thing that I haven't believed is that that he would just go quietly and stay out of the picture for so long. It just seems like he would go back to cooking meth and just run a different empire.
I don't find it cartoony, and I understand that the idea that there is a fixer who will drive you across the United States in a propane tank and hide you in a cottage in the Granite State and keep bringing you food and Albuquerque newspapers is far-fetched. That is certainly cartoony if you just jump into it at the end. But it definitely follows from the sorts of things we've been informed and learned about in the world of Breaking Bad. So nothing to me is jumping out and saying like, this is so out of character for this show. And I guess that's why it's not bothering.
And it's not. It's none of it is out of character for the show. But the show has definitely evolved. It's the first season I found it extraordinary. There are out there chemistry teachers who probably have cooked meth, and it's like I believe that, and it's and it did a great job in the first season of showing the ugly side, the realities of the drug trade. And, that one character, the prostitute that was just terrifying. And you saw that world, and then it got a little weirder. You had Terminator twins showing up. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit theatrical. And then you had heads on turtles. And
talk about cartoony.
And then you had, exactly. Well, it's gotten to this slide, and we are in a place that's very different from where it started.
I feel like they've done much more unbelievable things in the show previously. I wonder if maybe you just have an expectation of where you wanted this to end, and it's not fulfilling.
No, I understand. I'm very fulfilled. I'm very, very fulfilled. Right. It just it wouldn't be an interesting spoiler zone if all I did was talk about how perfect the show is because
the show is perfect, Brian. No, it's not. I don't think it's perfect either.
There's a lot of silly things that happen, but we don't care because we're on a roller coaster right now.
It is. We are a little locked in on the rails, and I don't. Nothing has really shaken me. And when you start saying like, "This is starting to get a little cartoony," I go, well, "Wait a minute. Am I not paying attention? Am I not thinking critically enough?" But nothing is knocking me out of it. Nothing. Everything is moving along. I felt this last episode was a little slow, and I felt like that was because they were putting the chess pieces in place, and that's normal in a story to do that before you get to the final whiz bang episode. I don't know that we're going to end up seeing Walt alive. My feeling has always been this is a guy with cancer, and the show has to end with him dying. That if they don't end the show with him dying of cancer, I will feel cheated. So I will actually bet you money it's not what you say it is, because I will feel like, no, the story here should be what legacy does Walt leave after Breaking Bad?
I don't think he's going to die at all. I think the show will end with him alive. In fact, I'll bet you. I think I owe you a steak. I already owe you one steak for Spike Lee hitting his number. So I might as well call me Two Steak McGee. I'll buy you a second steak. But as far as like there are I guess if I was going to complain, the fake out this episode was we spent like 20 minutes watching Jesse try to escape and then not escaping. And I guess it was interesting. But it just seems like they just lead down these paths and then they turn around and you're just back where you started again. Which again, that's what roller coasters do, right? They take you up and down and in circles, and then you end up right back where you started.
But this show has always done that, right? Just when you think everything's going to turn out okay, it doesn't. And that's good. It is a compressed timeline. Do you think it was too much to have them kill the mother? To kill her? To have
it was very gratuitous. Yes, I mean that's what I'm getting at. It was gratuitous. It didn't take us anywhere, and we just ended up back where we started again.
It definitely took us
and
somewhere.
We're seeing more of that.
Because here's the thing, right? I'm like, Jesse is at the point where he won't cook again. He wants to die, and the only thing that is going to keep him alive is the hope that they will protect those two people. And so when they go up there, I'm like, well, this is your leverage. You can't kill her. She's your leverage over Jesse. Then when they kill her, I realize, and then they say it right away, there's still the boy. Like, actually, that is the only way you can proceed with Jesse in this situation, is to kill the mom and save the child. Because now Jesse has to keep cooking and he has to stay alive because the boy doesn't have his mom anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so the Nazis, they stay in charge when the series ends?
Well, here's where it depends. Like, what is Walt going to do? Is he going to go after the gray matter folks? Or is he going to fulfill what he's been saying to Saul when they were in lockdown together? I'm going to go after the Nazis. I think if he goes after the Nazis, he wipes them out. I think that's the one little concession to us, the viewer, is that those guys get what's coming to them. But I don't know if Todd gets wiped out. Todd might survive.
Here's the thing: is the reason, like, we know that the trigger was seeing the gray matter folks. He's not going to go shoot the gray matter folks. That is to remind you that this is a man with dueling obsessions. One healthy, to protect his family and take care of them. The other very unhealthy, which is to make his mark on history and get the credit for being the chemist that he deserves. That is the reminder, and that's what tells me he's going to go back. He's going to try to take care of both of them. I think his family gets killed in the middle of it, and he decides, well, I lost my chance at the one obsession, so I might as well go all in on my other, and I'm going to make history as Heisenberg. You'll remember the name, and the promotion has been "Remember My Name," from Ozymandias, and it's going to be Heisenberg. He's going to embrace it at the end.
I don't think they kill Walt Jr. or the baby. I think Skylar does. I think Skylar's gone, and Skylar has implicated herself, right? She descended into his world. And so that is retribution in the context of the story. She'll get it.
Yeah.
I think Walt Jr., Marie, and Holly are the only whites that survive at the end of this, although you think Walt will. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do think he's going to come in. I think he may. I don't see him coming in guns blazing, killing all the Nazis, but I do see him running that place there. I don't know. We'll be see. But I definitely think he's going to stay alive, and I think he's going to embrace Heisenberg as, like, this is apparently who I am, so might as well go all in. It's the Dr. Horrible ending.
I'm trying to feel like, what is the Ozymandias? Like, look on my works and despair. Like, Ozymandias is gone, right? The statue has crumbled. That's why I think Walt still is going to be gone. But he has to do something that makes people look on his works in the future. Yeah. He has to do one more thing yet, and I don't know what that is. Also, Lydia, we got to wind up Lydia's fate. He has that meeting with her. Remember, in the very beginning of this season last year.
Wait, remind me of that. Why am I blanking on it?
In the diner when he arranges the bacon.
Oh my God! Wait, Lydia was there during that?
Wasn't she? Isn't that who he met with?
No. He met with the guy who has the machine gun. That's how he got the machine gun. He sits down and arranges his bacon in 52 because he's now 52 years old.
Maybe I'm just imagining things now.
No. There was another time that he met with Lydia at the coffee shop, but he was there at the diner, and then the big reveal was he pulls back and he's got the machine gun. Yeah.
Well, Lydia's still a loose end he has to tie up.
Maybe. Or maybe she's a valued customer who needs to get her 98% pure.
And we need to know if Lydia and Todd are going to get together. It's a love story.
Are they going to make Satan babies? I need to know. All right. Well, I guess we'll find out next week. This is it.
Yeah. Whatever both of us think of any of this stuff, this is the kind of show you want to watch because it engenders this much discussion, this much enthusiasm. It binds you to it, and it helps you learn more about what you think about.
I've got a problem, Tom. I just realized, I've been totally satisfied watching the show the next morning on Amazon Prime, just picking it up for $2, but there's no way I can just hear about the ending. I mean, I'm going to get spoiled, so I'm going to have to go to my parents' place or something to watch it live. Yeah.
Well, I'm flying back from Petaluma because I'm hosting This Week in Tech on Sunday.
Okay.
And they wanted me to be in studio. So I'm going to miss it live. Well, I probably won't miss the West Coast live, but we get DirecTV, so we get the East Coast live. I don't think I'm making it back. I'm definitely not making it back in time.
What a bummer, because you know what I wish we could do for this kind of major event? I wish there was a structure where it was legal for us to watch it all together, because we virtualize our community,
right?
And, yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Maybe Like maybe I could stream, me watching it or stream a chat room or whatever.
You can. You as long as you don't have the video showing, you can stream yourself. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't
wonder if the audio would trigger it on there.
If you keep it low in the background, it shouldn't. I don't get back. My plane lands at 9 p.m. if it's on time, which means I can get home too late, because I think it's 9 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, that would be a great special. Watch Brian and Tom watch Breaking Bad.
Oh well. These are the times that try men's souls, Brian.
That's it. Truly is.
Thank you all for watching. I don't know when Brian and I will have another show before Game of Thrones to Spoiler Zone about. We'll have to see.
Maybe we could pick up a project show that we want to plow through.
That's a good idea. Maybe, yeah. I got a couple.
In fact, if you guys want to suggest the next thing. Oh, that's right. Actually, we're supposed to do that, aren't we? Suggest to us the next long form show that we should plow through. It doesn't have to be a drama either. Just something that you think we should watch.
Thanks, everybody. We'll
love you guys.